Hi everyone, my name is Aleeza. I own a mental health coaching business called Coaching with Aleeza. I have been working in the mental health space for about 5-6 years, and I am so excited to talk to you guys today about mental health. So I want to do a little exercise if you feel comfortable. Hello? Oh, closer. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, I want to do an exercise with you. So if you feel comfortable, raise your hand if you or someone you know struggles with feelings of depression. Raise your hand if you or someone you know struggles with feelings of anxiety. And lastly, raise your hand if you or someone you know has experienced an event that they're struggling to move forward from. So notice how many hands were raised. That was pretty much everyone. Each hand represents someone's unique story, someone's unique struggle, and our shared humanity. So if your hand went up for any of these, you are not alone. Mental health affects everyone, whether it's you or someone who you know and care about. So I want to tell a personal story about when I needed to use self-compassion. So in 2019, it was my senior year of college at ASU, and I had one requirement to graduate. It was to complete an internship, 400 hours of an internship in a semester. And so I applied and I got my dream internship. The only problem is that I was struggling with some severe health issues at the time that I was too embarrassed to disclose. So I start working at this internship and I start missing days and accumulating a lot of absences because of my health. And one day after an absence, I come in and I get fired. I was devastated. And all of these thoughts started coming in my head, like, I'm such a failure. I'll never graduate. I'll never be successful. This is so humiliating. No one will ever understand. I'm so pathetic, right? Those were the thoughts that were in my head. And they actually continued to spiral in my head for months, preventing me from applying to new internships because I felt so incompetent and so insecure. And that only stopped when I learned about self-compassion. I was fired. It only stopped when I learned about self-compassion, when I learned essentially that I needed to talk to myself the way I would a close friend, and that those messages that I was saying to myself about being a failure and being stupid and whatever else I was telling myself, it was not only not true, but not effective in my life at all. So today I want to talk about the way that we talk to ourselves. What sort of things are going through our head when we make a mistake, right? I'm such a failure. I'll never be good enough. I'm so stupid for making that mistake. If a friend or loved one made that same exact mistake, would you be thinking of or saying the same thing to them? Probably not, right? So then we think, okay, well, the solution to that is just having good self-esteem. And yes, self-esteem is important, but it does have its limitations. The thing about self-esteem is that it works on comparison, right? We have good self-esteem when we're better than average at sports, or better than average looking, or better than average in your class. But one, we can't all be better than average at everything at the same time, right? Statistically, that doesn't work. And second, if our self-esteem is conditional on a situation, then that means that if that situation is no longer like that, our self-esteem crumbles. So what I like to offer instead of self-esteem is self-compassion. Self-compassion was researched by a researcher named Kristen Neff, and she outlined the 3 pillars of self-compassion. The first is self-kindness, the second is common humanity, and the third is mindfulness. So self-kindness is essentially what we talked about, talking to ourselves with kindness, the way that we would someone who we care about. In my instance of getting fired, maybe a kind thing that I would say to a friend going through the same thing is, honestly, you're not stupid. You were in a bad situation and you were doing the best you could with the tools that you had at the time. That's probably what I would say to a friend. So with self-kindness, I would direct that to myself. The second is common humanity, and this is one of the most important ones in my opinion. When self-esteem asks us, how am I different from everyone else? How am I better than everybody else? Self-compassion asks us, how am I the same as everyone else? What is our common humanity? What is our shared human experience? I'm not the first person to have been fired from a job, and I will not be the last person. But when we're in a situation like that, we feel so alone and like we're the only person who could make such a mistake, who could experience such a thing. So taking a moment to pause, who else has experienced this? Is this really a unique experience, or are there so many people in the world who understand exactly how I'm feeling? And the last one is mindfulness. Mindfulness essentially is being aware of the present moment. And in this case, we want to be aware of the thoughts that we are having, our critical thoughts, because we don't know to apply self-kindness or common humanity if we're not even aware of our suffering in the first place. So mindfulness causes us to pause and think, what am I saying to myself, right? Let's say I wasn't happy with how this presentation went. I would think, oh, I was overthinking the microphone, or I was overthinking the camera, right? Being aware of exactly what thoughts we're having so that we can apply some compassion. I believe that self-compassion is a really refreshing and healthy way to approach our relationship to ourselves. And I want to ask you guys, and we'll talk about this more in my activity, but where in your life could you use some self-compassion? I am Aleeza from Coaching with Aleeza. If you are curious about coaching, if what I said today really resonated with you, I would love to help you on your self-compassion journey. And thank you all for listening. Yay! Great job!